Hello, welcome to the Crates Motel. My name's Conan, I'm the concierge. Today we're going to be looking at the next part of my sample workflow, chopping. Let's jump in. So I did actually start making a video where I was chopping, and then I thought, well, it's a bit pointless because A, I've already made a video about the different ways to chop in an MPC. Feel free to check that video out. And also, B, 10 million other people have made videos about chopping in the MPC. So the actual physical process of chopping, I thought was a bit pointless. And this series is about my workflow. It's about the processes that I go through in my workflow, hoping that it will inspire other people in their workflows. They can take certain things from my workflow, add it to their workflow, adjust it how they want. So I just really didn't see the point in doing another video on actually chopping. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through the thought process that I go through when I am chopping in my MPC or my S2400 or my DAW, and why I make the decisions to use those particular platforms. So the first thing I think of is, what am I going to be making my track in? Is it going to be 100% in my DAW? Is it going to be in my MPC1, my 2000 XL, my 2500, my SP404, or my S2400, or Koala? And I'm sure that's the same with everybody. Most of you probably do have multiple platforms. Even if it is 1, 2, 3, 4, well, multiple wouldn't be one, would it? But you know what I'm saying. So that's one of the first things I think of. What am I going to be making the actual track in? And when I say making the track, I mean sequencing the track. That's what I consider to be the actual kind of making of the track. And I'm going to be covering that in the next part of my sample workflow. So I have to think, what am I going to be making it in? And it's a different thought process if I'm going to be making it in one of my older MPCs like the 2000 XL or the 2500, because the chopping process on those is a bit different. It's a bit more basic. You don't have auto chop, etc. Well, you kind of do, but it's not the same as, for instance, in my MPC1 or my Live 2, or for you guys out there that are lucky enough to have a 3 or an XL. So I think actually what I'll do first is I'll go through my thought processes if I'm going to be doing something in my One or my Live, because it's a lot easier when I'm, well, I guess the first thing I actually think of is when I take a sample, because this is about sample-based workflow, I think, do I actually really need to chop it up, or am I going to be taking it in 1 bar, 2 bar, 4 bar chunks, etc.? Do I actually need to chop it up? If I don't need to chop it up, then obviously it's a lot easier. It just goes into my MPC and I sequence it that way. But if I do need to chop it up, is there parts of the chop that are going to be slightly out of time? Now, I've gone through this in another video. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you might chop up into eighths or quarters, or whatever the chop might be, whatever the length of the chop might be. And let's say chop 1 and chop 3 fit perfectly in time, but chop 2, there's a little bit of a gap at the end, and chop 4 is a bit longer than it should be. And that'll be because the drummer is shifting their timing. And you tend to chop on the kick and the snare, or on a hi-hat if it's eighths or whatever. You know, it entirely depends on the sample. But no matter how hard you try, the chop just isn't right. And then you have to start thinking about, so in which case, should I time stretch 2 and 4, make 4 a little bit shorter, make 2 a little bit longer? And I'm going to have to time stretch it, otherwise it's going to be out of pitch if I change the time. So then you have to start thinking about that. Now, you can do that time stretching process in actually all of the MPCs that I own, but in the 2000 XL, the time stretching process is an absolute ball ache. In the 2500, it's faster and it's better, but it's not best. And even in the One and the Live 2, I can only speak for those because they're the ones I own, it's still not perfect. And you're going to notice a difference if you have to time stretch, quite a bit, I guess. I mean, you're probably not going to have to on a quarter or an eighth. But basically, my thought process will be this: if I'm going to have to start fiddling around with things, then there's no point in chopping it up in my MPC first. I might as well do it in Ableton. I've made a video about that. Basically, I will get it right in Ableton because the warping algorithm in Ableton is in my opinion, the best one. And I'll get it right in there first, and then I will sample it into my MPC. Then chopping is going to be a lot easier, because if I did, for instance, chop on the kick and the snare, then it's going to be in time because I've time stretched it already in Ableton. So that would be my thought process. It's about speed and it's about not messing around. I'll tell you what, I speak from experience on this. This isn't me being lazy. I have spent, I can think of a time where I've taken 4 bars of a track and I've chopped it up into 16, So 4 chops per bar. And it's not quite right. And I'm messing around with it. I'm trying to time stretch it. This was in MPC 4000. So the time stretch wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. So I'm trying to play around with it in the 4000. This bit's a little bit longer. This bit's a little bit shorter. Okay, why don't I speed up the entire track? Because then that will help. You know, you can do that. That's something else, another video entirely, where you speed up the track very, very slightly so that the shorter samples are still going to fit in the sequence as such, if you understand what I mean. So I tried that. I was playing around with time stretching, and it was just an absolute nightmare. I think I spent 2 or 3 hours trying to get it right. And in the end, it wasn't right, and I just threw it away. And it's not the only time I've ever done that. I don't know if any of you guys are into gaming. I don't know if you think the same way that I do, but I have played games before where I've got to a certain point in the game and I just cannot get past this certain level. And I'm trying over and over again. You know, you're doing that frustrating thing where you're literally biting the PlayStation controller or Xbox, and it's driving you absolutely mental when you can't get past this point. I can't remember which Call of Duty it was. I'm going off on a tangent here, but there was a particular Call of Duty, and there was this level that I was at. It was a Second World War one, and there was this level I was at where these Junkers dive bombers, Stuka dive bombers, were diving down, and you were on an anti-aircraft gun, and you had to shoot them to get to the next level, basically. And no matter how many times I did it, I mean, I threw my PlayStation controller against the wall. I nearly kicked the telly. I was going absolutely nuts. And the thing that was driving me nuts the most was that Jason Statham was one of the voiceover guys on the game. And every time these Stuka dive bombers came, he goes, "Stuka dive bombers, take him out! Stuka dive bombers, take him out!" And it was driving me absolutely mental. So, taking that concept into consideration, I prefer to get things done quickly in the MPC. I prefer not to be messing around for 3 or 4 hours, because it gets to the point where it's not fun anymore. It's fun to start with, but it's not fun after a while. So if I have any issues where I'm thinking the time stretching needs to be done, then the chopping is done in Ableton. Or in effect, actually, the chopping is not done in Ableton. The sample will be warped in Ableton, so that then when I transfer it into any of my MPCs, the chopping is a lot easier. Now, another thing is, for instance, if I'm going to be chopping in my 2000 XL, I have to think about the fact that there are mute groups. So you have to take the strengths and weaknesses of the MPCs that you're going to be using, or the sampler that you're going to be using when you are deciding on your chopping as well. So I take that into account. So all these thought processes go on before I actually even start chopping, to be honest. So 2000 XL, I have to think ahead quite a long way, because I have to think, well, there's not really any mute groups as such. You can have a pad that will mute 2 other pads, but you have to really, really think about how you set things out in the 2000 XL. And sometimes those limitations are actually end up making happy accidents. So that can be good as well. In the 2500, there are mute groups, so you don't have to think about that as much. And obviously in the One and the Live 2, which I use, you've got, as many mute groups, etc., as you please. So it makes things a lot easier. So I go through that thought process before I actually start doing the chops. Now, another thing is as well, and some people will call this lazy, but I call it refined workflow. If I am going to be making a track in my 2000 XL, or my 2500, and even actually to a point in the S2400, I do tend to do my chops first, sometimes in the One, and sometimes I will do them in something like Serato Sample or something like that. I will then sample those chops that have already been time stretched and made perfect as such into the 2500 and 2000 XL. Now you may say to yourself, well, why would you bother doing that? My argument with that is that sometimes my argument is that I like working in the 2500 and I like working in the 2000 XL. The way that I can manipulate my chops, the way that it flows, the workflow for me works. Now that's not going to work for everybody, so you're not going to have to necessarily take that process into consideration. So you're not, if you're working on the One or the Live 2, you don't have to think about that as much, because it's a lot easier to chop, and you've got all the different auto chops with transients and with auto chop and etc. Even just doing manual chopping is just way quicker and easier in the One and the newer MPCs. So, but getting back to it, but I do like working in the 2500 and the 2000 XL. I like the workflow. I like sequencing tracks in those, and I like sequencing my drum beats in there, for instance. So to make my workflow easier and quicker, I will actually do a lot of my chops in a newer MPC or on my DAW, and then sample those into my older MPCs. So I'm still getting the workflow, I'm still getting the feel that I get from those particular MPCs, and obviously I'm still getting the sound, which, you know, that's another video entirely, and I'm not going to open that can of worms. But I like the sound of the 2500 and I like the sound of the 2000 XL. So that's why I will chop in. That's why I will sometimes chop before. I don't always do it like that. Sometimes, you know, I do actually go old school and do my chopping in the XL and the 2500. But it's about refining workflow. That's the point. That's the point of this series. I am constantly refining my workflow. So if I can find any particular way that will make my workflow better and easier and quicker, then I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to be faced with
stupid dive bombers, take him out.
So there you have it, quick video on chopping. I'm sorry if you were expecting a video actually on chopping. I'll try and make sure that the title isn't a clickbait title that says this is a video on chopping. I'll try and make it so that it fits what this is actually about, the concepts of chopping, I guess. So thanks for watching. This is A Quakes My Tail. My name's Conan. I'm the concierge. Till next time.
Concierge.